The following audio recording has been designed for learning purposes only. Do not share, distribute, or provide any type of copies, or this audio lesson will not be made available to you. Good luck with today's lesson.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say 9,000. And they're owed the following. So Mo is owed 15,000. Larry is owed 5,000. And Curly is owed 25,000. So we have 15,000, 5,000, and 25,000. They're all unsecured creditors. After all the other creditors were paid, the amount left for distribution to our general unsecured creditors was only $9,000. So these are all our unsecured. And everybody else was paid that's above them, right? On the little line. So I'm kind of looking at, okay, remember we said after we pay everybody else, now we're down to any unsecured. This is all you have left. This is what you owe all the unsecured. They're on like the same. My question for you is, how do we distribute this $9,000? And yes, I'm going to give you guys, you guys want to take a few to figure, or you want to try?
Take a few.
Take a few? It was good because I don't want to try and figure this out on my own. So take a few with your colleagues and figure out how you guys would distribute it. Don't worry, I won't have this on the exam. You won't have to calculate this. But this just kind of helps you if you guys are trying to do it. Did you get it figured out? I'll give them a few more because I hear people talking. Did you get it figured out, James? I was gonna say, I see a couple people still using calculators, so I know they're still working.
Does it have something to do with the formula from last time?
Kinda, yes. I think, I'm trying to think, yes, along the lines, probably.
Okay.
Yes. Does that help? She goes, no.
I'm trying to figure it out, but I can't remember the formula.
I mean, the steps are kind of the same in one sense, so yes.
But I got that.
Did you get it figured out, Abby? Because I know you were working on numbers. I know Bella was working on numbers. Did you get yours figured out? What do you guys think? What'd you guys end up getting? What'd you get, Brad?
5,000 for Curly, 1,000 for Larry, and 3,000.
Hold on, I'm gonna use a different number. So you got, what'd you say?
5,000,
Uh-huh.
1,000 for Larry, and then 3,000.
Okay. Is that what you got? Is that what?
His numbers are a little bit rounded, but I got roughly the same thing.
Okay. Same thing? Same thing? Did you guys end up getting it worked out?
I got something with the total.
How'd you start it? Just curiosity.
Okay, so I just divided the 9,000 by 3, and then what my total was, I got 3,000. So I gave that 3,000 to Curly, and then the other two get 1,500.
So you did it different but came out to the same numbers. Like a different way.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that would always work on the, if it just happened to work in this way or not. What did you originally do to get?
I just added
Right.
up the 3 numbers that they were owed, and then divided each of their numbers by the total, and then multiplied that percentage by 9,000 to get what they were owed, part of the 9,000.
Same formula?
I mean, I did it longhand with fractions, but yeah.
Same formula, roughly? Yeah. And when you asked me, was it the same? Yes, it was. It's just here we actually had 3, where the other one had somebody who was 0, who was bankrupt. Remember?
Mhm.
So here you do the same thing. Add theirs up. It was the 45,000. I'm just going to put 45 there. You know there's 9,000. So what you did is you take what is 15 divided by 45. So they're going to be liable for 1/3, 1/9 to get where we're going, and then
Yeah.
5/9. And then when you took those numbers 1/3 times 9,000, it came out to 3. The 5/9 times 9,000, you get the 5.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I said I don't know if your way would work all the time on others, if it happened to work the way you did it.
Okay.
It might be the same. I just have to sit down and like look at your formula.
Okay.
But does understand?
Yes.
There.
I know
Everybody? So yes, this is what you guys should have gotten for the thing. And what it does is it's just showing you, hey, we have unsecured. This is what we're left. They're all in the pecking. We can't just favor one over the other and say, well, you get the most, so you get all 9 and everybody else is nothing. No, you're all on the same playing field. We have to prorata it. And if this is all you guys get between the 3 of you, we're going to prorata what you each can get out of your share of it. And at least you get what? Something versus nothing. Yeah. And because that's all that's left, like we said, if it gets down to there, you're not going to get anything because it's already stopping here. Question, Rick?
So we're not gonna have a test question about doing the math on this, or?
No, he goes, thank God.
No, it's not.
No,
too
I,
difficult.
right now, my old ones, I've never put one on. From my recollection, I don't think I've ever put one on like this, but I have you guys do them in class just to get a
Yeah.
feel, so you guys would see. You know, now, I won't lie and I might have a question saying, you know, what's the order or something.
Yeah.
That type of thing, to just know that. You're probably going, I'd rather take this than over that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never done it yet. If for some reason I do, I'd let you guys know. Yeah. Any questions on any of that? The last thing the textbook talks about is chapter 11s and chapter 13s. And chapter 11 is actually the business reorganization plan. So what it does is it allows debtors to pay the creditors in a manner that affords the debtors relief from ongoing inadequacies in their cash flow. Once this plan is actually approved, what happens is the creditors are bound by the terms of the plan and they forfeited their right then, their original contract rights. So what they've done is they've agreed to do this reorg plan. You know, they've agreed to it. They know this is what you owe, but to try and get you back into the, I almost said red. I didn't want red. To try and get you back into the black and out of the red, we've agreed to maybe accept this, this, and this there. When we get to chapter 13, it's really the same thing. That's your reorg plan. And those plans are also available for individual debtors who met the test for bankruptcy. The Chapter 13 plan is a budget of the debtor's future. So what they'll do is they'll look at what's your future income. Let's allocate it then to the creditors. Usually we might say, okay, we'll take 5 years. We'll pay you after 5 years. This is what you're going to get. We'll allocate because this is what I'll be bringing in each year, assuming it all goes well. Once you approve the plan, it's the same thing. You approve the plan, we now follow the plan. And once that plan, all the payments are made, after you follow that plan, it's going to discharge the debtor from all their debt, you know, from that was covered under that plan. But we put it in, and we say, okay, this is what they owe you. This is what they're bringing in. What will you allow? This is what they'll pay you then every month. They're supposed to pay, like, let's just say $30 a month over the next 5 years. Boom, boom, boom. Once that's satisfied, we're done. But if you agree to that, we're bound. Questions on the bankruptcy chapter? I mean, that's really all you have to know for 11 and 13. Know that they're there. A lot of it kind of came out in 7 when we talked about what is the procedures. Okay, then here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to kind of move you guys around so you're not working with the same person right now. And I'm going to do you guys as groups of 2. And I made an extra one. So I guess if someone comes in late, they'll be by themselves while we're working on this. Because I put letters together. And they're going to the consumer general, okay? And they're little scenarios. And what I want you to do is as we break you into groups, your group's going to answer some questions. And you're going to come up here, your group, with your letter. You'll read it. Please don't write on these. I like to keep them. But what will happen is you'll get the letter, you'll get to read it, and you have to answer 3 things. And actually 4 things. What we like you to do is, after you read the letter, the complaint, you have to decide whether the sales practice is fair or unfair and why. So we got to know, is it fair or unfair? And why? Then we want to know, is it legal or illegal? And why? So first, it's more in ethics. Tanisha goes, oh no. Don't worry, it's not as bad as you think. Okay? So we want to know, is it fair, unfair, why? Is it legal, illegal, why? Then the next thing you're going to want to know is what additional information you would like from the consumer. Okay. That would be your third thing. And then the last thing is what advice you would like to give to the consumer. You're going to pretend you're the Attorney General right now. Huh?
I don't think the
Well,
Attorney
the-
General's wear pink sweatshirts, but only this one.
That's okay. So that is what it's going to be. So what I'm going to do is have you guys kind of talk 1 through 6. I'm going to try and vary, so hopefully you don't get near people. So as I point to you, you're going to say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Two.
3, 4.
5, 6. So 1's maybe kind of come up here. 2's can go in the middle row with your person. 3 over there. 4 kind of come up here. 5 here, or here, I'll do 4 since I started back there. 4 there, 5 here, and 6 here. That was 6. I think the 5 and the 6 are, yeah, you just kind of say 1 and 2. And like I said, you guys can go back to your seats eventually later. If you want to just take your book and not bring everything, I'm fine with that.
Was I two?
Yes. You could have stayed in your,
I didn't catch it.
that's okay. I think now that I think about it, because you were sitting in that
Yeah, I
row,
was
or were you in this?
right there.
You were behind a row, weren't you? So you can move back. James is your
Yeah,
partner.
I'll move back.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Kind of 1 and 2, 5 and 6 actually got to kind of stay in their seats, I guess you could say. I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to do this so it seems a little fair on the envelopes. Like, where'd my little pen go? You guys realize what I'm doing right now? I gotta do pecking order for who can draw envelopes because I don't want it to feel like people go, I got the crappy letter then. Huh?
No matter what.
So this is the order when you guys can pick your envelopes then. Do you want me to do all the girls first before I do it? Here, you didn't have to pay me by default. That way you can't count.
Yeah.
I picked the wrong one, right? You were by default got that number. Was it a good one?
We got our group numbers, we got both.
Oh. Okay, who got number 1?
What's this? Not today.
Number, 5. Sorry. I wrote it really fast.
Oh.
It was just it looks like a J, I guess it was like.
We weren't sure what it was.
You got the bonus one. Who had 2? I'm ready. Okay, did I not mix these up really good?
Yeah, we got 6.
Okay.
So
Who
that.
got 3 then? Oh, yes, you guys got 5. But that's funny that some of the groups. Hey, at least you have an envelope to choose. Usually one of them's-
Yeah, I was.
Because I threw an extra letter. So I'm going to give you guys time to read your letters. And this is what you can put down on your little notepad, whatever you want to do, because your group will come up here and read the letter to the class and answer all these questions, and then they're going to do it. So some of this you're going to be applying concepts of law that you either learned in the past or that hopefully you've read about in the chapter that you might be touching on. Then we'll talk about the chapter later. But yes, this is your group activity. So don't worry if you botch it. And I'll just send this one out, because that way I know at least my first portion. I already marked you guys in, so I know who's here.
Should we both write down the answer?
You can if you both want, or one of you on your notepads. I mean, that's fine, because you're gonna come up and talk about them. But if you guys want them in your notes, you're more than welcome. Because I'm not collecting the sheet. I kinda know who's already here. So I know who's getting points just for showing up and doing.
Make sure it's a credible.
You guys signed the sheet, right?
Yes, we did.
Oh.
Because I wanted to order off the candy, but I don't know if it's like the website or not.
For the price.
I get real jewelry because I'm sensitive. My skin's
But I also don't think this store for the base.
Thank you.
I get these ones are real cool. And they weren't that much. They were like, I got them from, I don't know if they're doing this. Shop all metal, and they sell like a bunch of
Fair. In addition to what they were already.
I get that from,
Because the, like, the ad to imply they exclusively state, if these are damaged, then they offer.
Supplied last to avoid this letter.
Yeah, they had, they said, I'm pretty sure the text was shot that.
Advice I would give the consumer,
$5.
Yeah.
But I'm like, it's like
Well, do you think there's any,
Yeah.
do you think there's anything that consumers have recovered from?
you could definitely find out.
And if that, they got their 6 from damages, or they were buying it according to their, like, farm trade rate.
Yeah, the letter is not being used. I think
Yeah, Amazon, I get my stuff.
what happened here is fair.
So I'm not working.
You can try and do one.
Just mail it out.
There's going to be another letter like this from a different consumer saying like,
First.
I would give it a try the consumer. I would say make smarter decisions. And then plus that like sell it. So like this
I have a friend there, but I don't know.
They wouldn't even take it back unless it was something else. I would just like, yeah.
It kind of sounds like a sneeze, I don't want to hurt.
I wouldn't care because I know I've done that more than I got. Ever since then, it's been taken. That is real. Like, yeah. drive, my little wrong. Yeah.
We're good. And that's why I said, that's fine.
Because we used to say
Because one more part is fast, so don't.
but it took a while there, I thought. So there was a lot more words that I didn't.
Just go talk to
When that cook and the steak gets really tender, you take that out, take the broth out, and let it reduce on the stove. Turn the steak. And then go back out. Add some seasoning to the broth and other flavors. And then you got like the shredded steak coming down on top. Really, really good options.
And then I would get more local, so I would end it. That's still good to explore by that.
Before I figured out the cooking orders, I tried making mushrooms. And I put it in the egg noodles. So it just turns like a brick. Just like with egg noodles, you gotta add those. You serve it in the bowl because they soak up like all the moisture. And you can't just put the egg noodles in before you get the food and then store it because they just soak up all the moisture and just turn it over.
Yeah, and then you break it out like one giant. And people themselves don't. You get back to the mushroom. Unless you put a tablespoon of water.
Please, Yes, sit down. Go for two.
It's really good to use a lot of put into chicken breast.
Yeah.
Cook it the same way that I was talking about the steak. You take it out, shred that, put some barbecue sauce on it. That's really good. On like a slider on it.
I made a nacho chicken yesterday.
So you try
Putting putting water under a bowl.
That's the one guy, Christmas party, he's always, he's like, this year, he's walking after me. It's a different feel.
I thought the 49ers were going to win. But I mean, I knew, like, in my mind that the Chiefs were going to win. I wanted the 49ers to win, but I had a shame.
How are you guys doing?
last year.
Good, a few more minutes?
And absolutely trash.
We need a few more minutes if that's okay with groups.
of some of their better players.
While I'm thinking of it really fast, I just want to do a reminder. I have the calendar up here. I got them all now in order. One was a TBW, TB determined. But this Saturday is our first Legal Assistant Association meeting at South. It's down here. It is Mary Arisco's coming from Madonna. She'll talk about Madonna's program. She is bringing also who's at the University Center there, so in case you want to transfer to Madonna and stuff. There, and then she's got a graduate from her paralegal program who's going to talk about her position in that. But they'll talk about where other past graduates have gone to. She'll talk about employment there. I get it's a little more geared for the legal assistant students this month, following months, but it is 5 points. If you come, you'll get extra credit of 5 points. The other meetings are also 5 points, so there's a total of 4 meetings at 5 points each. You can earn 20. But the other meetings in March, I have an environmental lawyer coming. April is a Social Security disability attorney is coming, and then May is workers' comp. So those are the areas there, and then April, you guys know, those who had me before, that's the road cleanup. So after that meeting, that's down here. They're gonna go clean a road, so as many people wanna help clean the road, that's a plus for them. And that one I usually give 25 points, just because you're helping them clean the road. So, but the calendar. Everybody else happy on the football game? How many others watched? I missed half the commercials and everything I heard, so. I was running around at halftime. So I missed a lot of it.
I actually played football better than we were in.
I said there was no wardrobe malfunction. I go, all I heard is it was like a pole and stuff. On the radio driving down, I heard I explained to your 11-year-old, one video with the pole.
The Knights are going to continue to be dominant because they've managed to build a very winning football team. And they've already beaten quarterback.
Oh, really?
Like the Rams were dominant last year because they were able to afford so many good players because Jared Goff was still on his cheap rookie contract. And then in the offseason, they had to pay Goff a lot of money. They couldn't afford a lot of their good players, including 2 of their linemen. So in the Rams,
San Francisco's one of the numbers, right?
they already are, but the big thing to me is they're gonna continue to be dominant because they have been able to assemble a very winning team without having to have a rookie quarterback. A lot of the Chiefs, for example, they have a number of very expensive players in very key points, especially in their offense. And the only reason they can afford those is that Mahomes is still on his rookie contract. And Mahomes is about to cash in for the biggest contract in the history of football. And they're not going to be able to afford players like Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins. The key to Mahomes working his man.
Holding this man up like he was Simba.
I don't.
Yeah, Tom Brady.
And they've paid him. He's not on a rookie contract, and they are able to build a winning team.
They've already given him that money.
So I would see Kansas City continue to be dominant because they're not going to be able to afford elite players after they pay Mahomes.
Well, and I think another thing.
Really fast, for order, I'm going up here. Do you want me to go on the order that you guys picked, or do you guys want to volunteer who wants to go first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth? Or do you want me just to go by the order of what envelopes you? I mean, I don't care. Does somebody want to volunteer to go first? Groups? She goes, you guys want to go first? I can do it by volunteering as you guys come up here. Will you come up, bring me the letter? I'll take the envelope and the letter in the long run, like from you guys as you bring up, you can leave them with me. Will you read the letters to the class so they know what you got as a complaint? Yep.
Can I just start two women?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so to whom it may concern. Recently, I've been looking for a place to invest some money I have made on the stock market. On Sunday, I saw an ad in the paper by a real estate company offering a free 1-carat emerald to anyone would come to their 1-hour presentation on condominiums. This sounded reasonable, so I went. When I got to the presentation, the real estate agents were all over me. I was only able to look at the condominium for about 5 minutes, and then they took me into a room and tried to get me to buy one on the spot. I resisted, but it was difficult. There were 3 real estate agents in the room, and they made me feel very uncomfortable. When I was able to get a word in edgewise, I told them I was leaving. They gave me the emerald, and I left. I had the emerald appraised, and it is only worth $2. Is this practice legal? It seems like they are misrepresenting what really happens when you go to the presentation.
And we said it's unfair because they pressured her on the spot right when she got to the presentation 5 minutes ago. And she had a hard time to resist. And we said it's illegal because the advertisement praised that 1-carat emerald worth so much money, but in fact it was worth $2. And how did she know that the emerald is worth $2? And for the advice is do your research about the company and events they do, and also it is too good to be true kind of scenario where nothing is for free.
What do you guys think on that situation? Did any of you find it legal? Did you guys all agree it was illegal? Legal? Here, when we had the consumer go into the real estate, it is very high pressure. They were motivated by that free 1-carat emerald, right? When it comes to the illegality, these are known as boil room tactics, and they're probably legal, but they're shady. Do you know what I mean? You get into those things there, so they're. Do you notice how I said probably legal, but shady?
Yeah. Kind of like in between, like we're thinking like at first like it's legal, but we're thinking like if it's false, like like false advertisement or something, is that like illegal too? Because
they can get into trouble with false advertising. And we'll talk about those things.
Okay.
Yeah. And here, what we could say is contact the Better Business Bureau, State Attorney General, like you've done, because you're suspecting that hey, I got this ring, and then when I got it appraised, it's only $2. Like, is what they're doing really legal or not? And that's what it comes out to. So any questions from the class on this one? Thank you, guys. Who wants to go next? Go ahead, Brianna. She goes, you're volunteered whether or not. Keep that one there.
I'm writing about an experience I had with TS Incorporation, a clothing store. I ordered a custom-made shirt around June 2016, and on June 18, 2016, TS had deducted the amount for the shirt from my bank account. After a few months, I contacted the company, and they informed me that I was not able to cancel any orders and that my merchandise should ship when it became available. Several months passed and I still have not obtained my merchandise. Should the company have to refund my money?
So we wrote that it was unfair because she wanted a refund and they didn't even let her get that, but she also didn't even get the merchandise. And then we wrote that it was illegal because they basically stole her money because she never got the merchandise or a refund on that. And then for additional information, we said we wanted to know if the website said it was non-refundable, and then how long it takes for an item to ship. And then for advice, we said make sure it's a credible website and read reviews and basically do your research before you buy something.
Okay. Any other thoughts?
I would even say as additional information, I would look at receipts, I would look at bank statements just as a consumer against this company too. If I'm going to pursue any legal action.
Okay. Any other thoughts? And yeah, I mean, those are things there. I kind of left a lot of facts out on there. and you guys pulling up. I will be honest, that actually recently just occurred, but it did not go to the Attorney General or anything. It was more a company, I think did I
That
tell
was
your
your
class?
son's, right?
That was my son's.
Astroworld.
Yeah, by the way, I got the outcome. Because I go, hey, by the way, have they responded to my letter yet, to what I wrote? And he goes, oh, yeah, by the way, they refunded my money the other day in the bank account. So they did give him his money back, which they really should have, because technically you can't.
Right.
I mean, literally, he had purchased it, and I'm like, well, they can't tell you can never cancel, because you've performed now. They took your money. When are they going to perform? So when they did the letter, they did refund it for him. But again, those were things that we did.
Yeah.
But that's what I wanted you guys to kind of pull out. Like, if somebody were to ask about that, is it a contract? Yes, it's valid between them, type thing. I mean, he had other issues, too, that I never pulled out, the fact that he was a minor. Because those would be other things, too, you could ask is the party a minor? Are they not? Because I never gave those facts either in there. So any other questions? Yeah, he was happy he got his money back, though. It was $118. To a 16-year-old, that 118 means what?
Right.
he goes, I can buy other things. So he was happy that he got it back. Who would like to go next? Okay.
Dear Consumer Protection Division, I'm writing about an experience I had with Sleep Nation, a local furniture store. I read an advertisement in The Stranger which read, hurry in to buy your slightly damaged name brand mattress, any size, for only $300 today. Our sale ends this Friday, so don't delay. I rushed to the store on Tuesday morning to be sure that there were some of them left. The salesperson told me that all of the water damaged mattresses sold out the first day of the sale, Monday. He also said I wouldn't have wanted one of them anyways because they smelled of mildew. He showed me some non-damaged mattresses, but none of them was less than $600. Shouldn't the store have to sell me a new mattress for the cost of a damaged mattress?
Based on what we read and based on what we discussed, everything in this ad was fair. They explicitly said, hey, we have damaged goods and we're going to sell them at a reduced rate. There wasn't any information in that advertisement that was like fraudulent or mischievous. And then as far as the legality of it, like there wasn't anything there wasn't anything illegal, because they explicitly said, here's what we have, here's what we're going to sell it for. In terms of the additional information from the consumer, like they wouldn't be able to recover any access damages because they bought it, because of their own good faith, and it wasn't like the advertisement, was misleading or anything. And then, like, as far as advice to give to the consumer and to this company, don't make stupid decisions. Don't buy a mattress with mildew on it. Be smart. And then as far as the supplier goes, be smart and don't sell, crappy, supplies and, crappy inventory. So, make smarter decisions. Lesson of the day, don't be dumb.
What does everybody else think? Everybody agree? Do you think this was a legal, illegal thing? Did it matter the fact that the mattresses, they said, were all sold out the next day? If I recall from the ad, I can pull my copy.
And we had also said to the what would probably have solved this entire situation was if they had included in the ad while supplies last. Not that it changes anything legally, but it changes people's expectations.
If anything, it changes the motivation to buy. Because if I'm a consumer and I see while supplies last, I'm going to go and hurry my butt to the store and go get a mildew mattress.
Any other comments from the class? Their situation was actually supposed to be an example of a bait and switch. The classic example where you bait them in by saying, here's our mattresses for this, by this, and then as people come in, oh, they already sold out. But let us get you to what? You didn't want that mattress anyways. It's moldy. Here's one for $600. Yeah.
mattress, before they ordered it?
I think on those facts, didn't it say they went there and they said they were all sold out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they didn't even see, because they said, oh, they're sold out, but you wouldn't have wanted them anyways. Do you get what we mean? So what they did is they baited them by having an ad saying, hey, come on in, you can get these mattresses. But when they get there, they switch it and do what? Oh, they're all gone. But you really didn't want that. So here, get this more expensive one. Get this one. It smells, better. It's not moldy. It's cleaner. Yeah. So, and then the advice, it kind of goes back to the other one. Report them then to the Better Business Bureau, your Attorney General, those type of things there, the FTC, anything if you're suggesting that they're violating. So, thank you guys. What group would like to go next? Which one? Between you guys pick. I have one extra envelope if you want to take it and be your own person. You're playing the Attorney General and they had to answer these questions.
I've never done
Huh?
paper like this.
You have to read the letter.
letter.
And then you have to answer all that.
Okay. All right. Dear Assistant Attorney General, I've heard that you can help people with consumer problems, and I need help. I'm a student at Roosevelt High School in Seattle. About 1 year ago, I joined a music club. It seemed like a great deal at first, but now I'm in trouble. Each month, they send me a card in the mail that I'm supposed to send back if I don't want to receive the selection of the month. The problem is that I forgot to send the cards back in because they get lost around my mom's house. Now, the music club says that I owe them for the cost of 12 CDs that they sent me, almost $250. I received the CDs, but I didn't want any of them. I never listened to them. Is there anything that I can do? Alright, so
We said it was unfair because it makes more sense to send the card back saying you want something than rather send something you don't want it. And then was it legal? Probably, because people are allowed to send you things because it's mail.
yeah.
And then additional info we want to know is like how old were they? Like were they a minor or not? What kind of music club was this? And then for advice, we wanted to see if they can try getting out of the club and try sending the CDs back.
Okay. Any thoughts from the class? How many thought it was illegal or unfair? Because they thought it was unfair. Does everybody agree? See, this is where I can say nobody knows what that music CD thing is. Why can I not think of it anymore? You used to have a thing where you could get this and you would buy CDs for like a penny. They'd send you 12. Why can I not think of the name of them? Because I did it.
Columbia House.
Thank you. Columbia House, but it was always through the mail. And it was a great way to get music because then you'd sign up and they say you'd only have to buy 3 more at full price. But every month they would send you a card. And every month you had to send it back. And if you didn't, it's actually known as a negative option contract is what we call these. So you do have to do that. One important factor you guys did touch on, though, is we do have to know how old is this person. Because if they're a minor, does it say that you can, if you're a minor, you must have someone else co-sign for you because that will make a determination whether or not you're bound to the contract. But here it was actually a legal thing. It's just a negative thing. It's where his issue comes in is how old were you when you signed up for this? Because what it is you join this, you know the rules, and every month when we send you the card and the music, if you don't want it, you have to send it back within X amount of days. If you don't, you're bound to it. So, yeah, it was one of those things, the CD Columbia House. That's why I said some of you guys might not know even what that is. But it was a great way to get music. You get, I got all these for about $20 in the long run, because then after it expired, you were done, you'd cancel, then you'd get another 12 CDs for a penny, and you build your collection and bought 3 more. Did you guys want to go next? Trying to figure out which one of you has one that kind of goes along the lines of theirs. Is it you guys?
Yeah, pretty much the same thing.
Okay, so that kind of works out good though, because then we can talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, so to whom it may concern, Low Cost Cell Inc. recently mailed a new digital phone and suggested that I try it out free of charge for a month. I planned to use it, but after a few days forgot all about the offer.
A few months later, I received a bill for the phone which cost $249.99. I called the company to explain that I had not ordered the phone and had simply forgot about the offer. The company said that if I did not want the phone, then I should have returned it. I was told that the company would no longer accept the phone since my grace period had expired. What can I do?
We said it was unfair because they just kind of mailed them a phone and they didn't ask for it. They were just like, here you go, here's this. And then we said it was illegal originally because they expected a payment on it, like it was a contract, but they never agreed to it. And I Googled it, and it said silence isn't acceptance, and they were just silent about it, so we didn't figure it was acceptance. We'd like to know the age of the person that they sent the thing to, because that's also like, if they're underage, then you can't really do anything with that. And then advice, don't forget about the phone that you were given in the mail, because that seems shady already, so I don't know how you forget about that. But yeah.
What does everybody think here? Are they bound to the contract? Do they have to pay? And why not?
They didn't accept the contract.
Right. And like you said, silence is not what? Acceptance. I didn't ask for it, you sent it to me, and the best advice we can tell you here is if you get something in the mail that you never ordered, it's yours. You don't have to send it back, and you can really do whatever you want with it.
It's awesome.
It is. If it comes in the mail and you didn't order it, you basically can keep it and you don't need to pay for it if you did not solicit. Now, if he had called and said, I want to order the phone, or I'd be interested, that's a little bit different. But here, they didn't ask for anything and it came in. So, yeah. Thank you, guys. As I said, it is a little bit different than theirs because that one they called for it.
Yeah.
And asked for it, where this one they didn't ask for it.
To whom it may concern, last week I received a postcard in the mail offering me a thrilling heart-shaped 14-karat gold flash medallion containing 10,000 dazzling diamonds and one matching 14-karat gold flash necklace from Madrid of Jen Jewelers of New York. The advertised cost of the medallion and the necklace was $3. All I was supposed to do was call the 900 number on the postcard. It sounded too good to be true, but I decided to call anyway. When I called, the person at the company said they were all sold out of the necklaces. A couple weeks later, I got my phone bill, and there was a charge of $6.95 for the $900 call. I could not believe it. Not only did I not receive the necklace, but they charged me for the phone call. I know that $6.95 is not much money, but the sales practice seems totally unfair. Is that what they're doing legal? Can I get my money back?
We said it was unfair. Maybe it should have been posted in bold print on the postcard that it was going to cost if she called the 1-900 number. I Googled it. It's illegal. It's called cramming. She can call her phone company. Maybe they'll reimburse her money, or she can block future 900 calls. What additional info would I like? I want to know, did she read the fine print on the postcard? It might have been in small print. She didn't read it. Advice, nothing is free, and read everything. That was it.
Yeah, and the same thing, and if you have anything, again, you can call the Better Business Bureau, the State Attorney General, all those. But yeah, it was legal. It was, you should have paid attention to your thing. Though technically it's legal, it could be a high practice, high suspect, high suspect, and then that's where the consumer could call the FTC and all those places there. And the outcome is the consumer is probably likely stuck with the bill. And then I know you got the last letter, so.
To whom it may concern, last week a representative from New World Encyclopedias came to my house at dinner time. He said he wanted to interview me about my thoughts on education. The question seemed sort of interesting, so I let him in and we started talking. When the interview was done, he said that as a result of my answers, New World will place an encyclopedia in my home at no cost. My only obligation, he explained, would be to pay for annual supplements at $50 each for the next 10 years. I will have to pay for the supplements, $500 total, in advance. This seems to be a little sneaky to me. If I was getting the encyclopedia based on the answers I gave in the interview, then why should I have to pay for anything? The salesperson was a real slick talker, and I would hate to see him take advantage of anyone else. I did not give him any money and sent him away. There are many elderly people in my neighborhood, and I know that he had already gotten one of them. Is what he is doing illegal? Well, I don't really know if it's legal or illegal, but I'm going to say that it's legal.
Okay.
To walk up to someone's house and knock on the door. Letting them in is your choice. As far as it being fair and unfair, I think it's unfair because he didn't express that he was there to sell anything. So he kind of had the person blinded from jump just by knocking on the door instead of saying, hey, I'm here to sell you an encyclopedia and question you about it. And then I think I just answered that. Any additional info? Well, basically, yeah, you want to kind of know why they're knocking on your door, what they're here to sell you for, anything like that. And advice that I would like to give, don't open the door. It's like the Jehovah's Witnesses. I'll peek out the window and walk away, you know.
Is he bound to the contract? Let's assume he had signed it. Is he bound? Or does
If
he
he
have
signed
any
it, then
options?
yeah.
What does everybody think here?
Don't open your door to weird people.
I know, right?
Huh?
Isn't it solicited?
It is. What do we call these? Home-based sales. These
See, I
are.
would have kept the encyclopedia and told him to get out because you told me it was my encyclopedia based off my answers. So after that, you wouldn't get nothing. Give me my encyclopedia. You have a great day. Goodbye. Get
But
out.
here it's a home-based sale, and when we have home-based sales, what happens? You, as a consumer, because you feel they call it cold canvas, home sales, things like that. You didn't ask for them to come to your house. If you called them to say, come to my house and let's talk about these encyclopedias, that's going to be different. But here you didn't ask, so they come knocking. We'll call that a cold canvas call, right? So you feel kind of a little what? Pressured? You might, next thing you know, they come, you buy it, now you owe $10,000 because you bought a set that takes your kid from kindergarten to what? College or something, and each year they'll send books to you, but each book costs X amount of money. And then what they'll do is you'll have 3 days to rescind. So upon this, you didn't ask for it, they come, you get 3 days to rescind this deal and get out of it.
They would have been better off asking for a donation.
Wow. But they're trying to make what?
Only they're trying to make money with $50 a year. You could just say, you know, can you pay a donation for this encyclopedia?
Yeah, but the total cost was $500, don't forget.
Yeah.
Do you get where we're going? And I mean, we'll come back to this and we'll talk about it. And this, I hope you guys didn't mind this exercise. It was really just to kind of get you guys to start thinking about that, because now we'll talk about the consumer and we'll bring in some of it. But it hopefully started pulling out some of the things that you were reading to start thinking about. So let's talk about then, who is a consumer? You know, and when did consumer law protection begin? Because the consumer protection, what it did is it began in the 1960s with the goal, because it wanted to protect those people who had limited means and limited knowledge. I want to use the term slightly here. We don't want to say that they're totally stupid, but to get where we're going, we're saying they lack what? The knowledge, the education. It's not that they don't know it. Maybe if you want to look at it like a little bit of common sense or however, but we're trying to protect that person. Okay? Throughout the years, consumer protection has expanded, and what we've done is some consumer protections statutes apply to natural persons, while some other statutes apply to consumer transactions, as opposed to commercial transactions. So you get into consumer law versus commercial law, all those type of things, and then you also have contract law. All these laws are kind of plain, 32. Okay? So who is a consumer? Are you guys consumers? Am I a consumer? Yeah, who is a consumer? We're doing what? Buying something, purchasing something. So it's any person who is given special protection by statute or regulation, and it's a buyer, right? It's any buyer who's given this protection. Who then may be a defendant in an action for violation of our consumer protection statutes? Who could be defendants? Could we have multiple parties as defendants? Different parties? Yeah. It's not necessarily just the company, right, that's selling to it. It could be the seller. It could be a financing company. It could be banks. Do you get where we're going? So it could be different parties. It's not just saying, oh, they sold you the milk and now they were deceiving, or the mattresses. Do you get where we're going? And that's it. It could be other parties too, because it could be somebody you're financing with, anything there. The other thing is the consumers are protected when there are omissions or misleading information that's given to them. So when we're doing all these things, the goal of our consumer protection statutes is let's protect that person who has limited means. Okay? They do, though, however, have defenses to the consumer protection statutes, because if you're going to sue them saying they violated the consumer protection statute or anything there, they violated something, they can defend. So that seller might say, well, okay, but it was the negligence of the consumer. They can raise that as a defense. Okay? Consumers still have to exercise reasonable care, such as read the contract. You can't then say, well, I didn't read it. Well, no, then you were negligent not to read what? The contract, if we have a contract for you to do. So let's talk about consumers too. They're not the only parties who can seek recovery in a consumer protection action. We can have, in lawsuits, government agencies can also go after parties because they might be violating it. So you could have the individuals, you can have the government suing them, you can have state attorney generals, because they're going to try and protect you guys. So they might initiate the action and they might go through and they might do this there. The remedies that you can get is you can ask for a replacement of the goods. Maybe I got a defective product, maybe you sold me something bad, will you replace it for me? Or maybe I get a refund, okay? You could also seek civil criminal penalties. So we get into those type of things there depending on what we are going to sue for and what we are seeking in our recovery. Now, some consumer protections, what will happen is statutes will give you for recovery damages. They'll give you either compensatory damages or you might get punitive damages. And I'm rewriting these because hopefully you guys remember these from B-Law 1 when we talk about these damages. What is compensatory? Those are usually your damages that arise from what? The breach, right? Or whatever it is, the tort action. You could get that there. Punitive damages, when we're talking about punitive damages, it's a form of punishment. We are going to hold that defendant liable, and then we'll make them liable under punitive damages. It's more, it's excessive, it's beyond. Because what's the goal of the punitive? The goal here is trying to deter others from doing the same things. You know, whether it's that tortfeasor or whoever it is, we want to deter them, and we'll call punitive damage also exemplary damages. Do you have a quick question?
If you order something like glasses or something, and it was in good shape when before it left, but once it got on the truck, that's when it got damaged. Would the company still have to replace it or refund your money?
Depends. Well, you have to figure out, this is where we go back to B-Law 1. So when they put it on the truck, if it's shipping to you, is it a shipment contract or a destination contract? Do you get where we're going?
Yeah.
Like you could call them and ask them and they might refund, they might replace the glasses and fix it for you. And then they might go after the carrier. But when you get into those type of things too by carrier, it depends. Do you have to go after the carrier for the damaged goods? Or does the seller have to go? And that's when you look at sometimes what type of contract was it. Because if it's a shipment, as long as they get it to the carrier, they're not liable. Remember, the risk of loss shifts over to the buyer.
Yeah.
And then who had title, who bears the risk of loss. You could get in those, but a lot of times your company might help out. I'm assuming you mean like your eyeglasses.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the buyer and the company that you were buying from go after the carrier?
Well, not necessarily both. That's where it's sometimes there. They might then give her a new pair. Do you get what I'm saying? But if they do that, like they might say, send us back the damaged ones, we'll send you a new one. And it might be an even wash. And that's where you...
Because it just happened to me last week. I had, my mom had me use my Amazon account to purchase a snowblower. And we purchased it from Amazon. So the day that it got delivered, literally 5 minutes after my phone says it's been delivered, I get home and it's not there. Now, the neighborhood we live in, it's not the worst neighborhood, but it's pretty, it's old people that own the street. So no one's going to steal this snowblower in 5 minutes. Then UPS said someone by RELD42 signed it. No one was home to sign it. So I called UPS like, hey, where's my package at? So basically, 8-day process go by. because I called Amazon right after that. I got my package redelivered, and we got refunded because Amazon went after them for their $210 we paid for it.
Right.
So they could just hold on to extra $210, so they resent our package, and we got our money back, so we got it for free.
You lucked out.
Yeah.
But sometimes they might be the ones then going after it for you and stuff. And that's why I said sometimes you'll look at when you get into issues, like when you have merchants, remember sale of goods? That's why you get into sometimes who has title to the goods and who bore the risk of loss and what type of, you know, when we got into that whole thing, who had title,
Yeah.
when did it transfer? That's where you can get into that. Yeah. And sometimes, like I said, some companies are really nice where they'll just say, we'll send you the replacement, and they might deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, and they might have it as a destination that our contract is to its destination. Well, it didn't get to its destination because you delivered it, but you never took delivery.
Yeah.
You know, just leaving it on the door may not have been deemed delivery. Yeah. So you get into those type of things there. So any other questions on that? Did it kind of help? I mean, you can see sometimes other areas come into play depending on what are we suing for. You know, and a lot of times companies tend to be really good with their consumers because they'll say, we'll replace it for you and deal because they want what? The business. Where you get now into business ethics comes into play because if we make you happy, you're going to refer us. Hey, I ordered glasses and oh my gosh, they broke and they were really great and what? Sent me a new pair right off the bat and I didn't have to pay anything. You know, so it does get into those type of things there. But these are the types of damages you might be able to get when we're talking about the consumer that are there, when they are in there. There are many areas of commerce that are also subject to consumer protection regulations. We have the FTC, our Federal Trade Commission, right? They regulate advertising, and they are going to prohibit one from using false advertising. And I know one of you guys mentioned it, and I think in one of your little letters, a couple of you actually, I think, mentioned it, you know, false advertising, because you guys had the ring. Remember, come look at the property, we'll give you a ring, and it was only worth $2. There's another one I know that you guys did that I would have said the same thing with advertising on how they did it there. The mattresses, I think you guys mentioned it, like how did they advertise it, all that thing. Is that false advertising because it was damaged? That type that you would look at. When we are looking at this, if there's deceptive advertising, right? Because we prohibit this false advertising. If there's deceptive advertising, the FTC can order that business then does a retractive. And what they have to do is they have to do a retractive advertising. Okay? When we get to labeling, and they're letting you put your labels and all that on, labeling, marketing products with terms such as that tend to exaggerate. So like I think certain words the book will mention, like jumbo. Do you get what I mean? Those are not allowed. We don't let you use words that will over-exaggerate, that will mislead. Those are also considered deceptive advertising practices. So you do get into those, or possibly fraud. You know, and it does get into some issues where sometimes, who was the one? Somebody asked me, because we were talking about intellectual one year, property, it kind of got brought up, but somebody goes, like when you think of bull's wings or Red Bull, remember it gives you wings. And now they add the extra eyes because they were sued on that and all that because people go, oh, well, this, I didn't really get wings. Get it? Because when it said wings, I think it just had, what, W-I-N-G-S originally, and now it's got, like, 3 eyes in it or something. That way people know we're not literal or that type of thing there. So you can see how sometimes people will look at things and go after things. Consumer protection statutes also regulate methods used for selling goods and services, which gets us into our home. Because if we sell goods or services and they come knocking on your door, hello, hi, I'm here selling the encyclopedias, or oh, we got this awesome cookingware. Can I demonstrate to you the cookingware? Can we show you what our pots look like? And they're knocking on your home, coming to your cold canvas call and stuff like that. You can actually rescind that, because as long as that sale is for $25 or more, you really have 3 days in which to rescind it. Another example I'll use here too, where I know you have 3 days to rescind too. We go to candle parties, pampered chef parties, purse parties. Girls, you guys can name any that you have done. Guys don't usually do too many of them, so if you guys have gone to any, feel free to send them out for us. But how many times have friends invited you over to makeup parties, you know, where the purses, clothing, all that stuff, and then when you go to those, what do you always feel? Pressured. Like I have to buy something because they're having a party. I feel like I gotta buy something. What's the cheapest thing I can buy sometimes? And let me tell you, guys will not understand this sometimes. You go there, you only intend to spend maybe 20 bucks, and the next thing you know, you're buying a beauty kit for 200, and you're like, yeah, I really did need this beauty, you know, great stuff, supposed to make your skin look great, but you spent $200. And you're like, you know, because you're always looking going, oh, what can I buy? Oh, that's $60. Oh, that, you know, and they talk you in, and then, but you feel that pressure. So what they say is you have 3 days in which to rescind that. Again, if you call them, though, to your house, it's going to be a different thing. If I call you and say, hey, well, let's meet at my house to discuss this contract that we've entered into, it's not going to end it. It's not going to let it go. You know, but if they just come knocking on my door, and that's why I said we'll call it cold canvas. Cold canvas, call home solicitations, home-based sales, those 3 terms, use it, because sometimes people, when they hear cold canvas, they're thinking like a phone call. We're talking like cold canvas, come knocking on your door. You know, knock, knock, knock. Hi, what are you doing? So we get that there. If a seller gives a buyer a reduction for referring customers to the seller, because sometimes they'll say, oh, you referred people, we'll give you what? Discounts. We'll give you 20% off because you referred, right? I referred Brianna. I referred Tiffany. Oh, okay, I start getting something, right? Because I referred them to them, that company, to do that. Those are lawful. However, what they'll say is because these type of sales often involve fraud or exorbitant pricing, sometimes they say it gets a little sketchy, and consumer protection laws will vary on this. Okay? And they usually condemn that selling. They'll usually say, we don't really like that because it could have that fraud, because I'm telling you to go somewhere and refer them because I know I'm getting what? A discount. You know? So there is some where they say, okay, it can be lawful, but it's a little bit, and the consumer, we think it's a little, we don't recommend that you do that.
Cash App does that.
Huh?
Cash App does that.
Yeah.
Tell a friend and you get $1 if they join.
Yeah. But do you see how it's going then? Because it's like you're getting people and you're getting something. And that's why they say it might be, but in consumer action, we look at it and we say, we really don't recommend that you should do that. Telemarketing, that's another type of fraud. How many of us, okay, I still have one. How many of you still have a landline? Thank you guys, I'm not the only one. So I appreciate that. But did you notice a lot of you don't have the landlines, right? And the landlines, a lot of times you get to sit at the house, and I'm sure your cell phones too probably do it. How many times do you guys get calls? And they're all what? Telemarketers. You know, we'd like to sell you. I'm going to be honest, I'm notorious for this. I will not. Very seldom do I ever give my cell phone for any of the stores. I always give the landline. I have an answering machine. My thought is, you know what? They want to talk to me, they're going to leave me a message. Otherwise, they hang up, and I know those are all what? Either telemarketers or those scam calls tend to leave too. But it's just really nice, you just let it go and you just erase it off your phone and all that. Yes, I can block them. It's only I have to have the number in front of me to put the number into block, so I don't like that. It's much easier on my cell phone to block, I realize. I can just go to block this contact. I wish my cell phone right now would do that, where I could just put in block this contact and not have to type the number. But that's what we get into. So when you get into that, or even your cell phones, even your home phones, when they're doing this, telemarketers are not supposed to call you before 8 o'clock in the morning or after 9 o'clock at night, which is great when you get that call at what? 8:45, and you're like, who's calling me at 8:45 at night or 8:10, and all of a sudden it's no sooner what? Oh, telemarketer, you know, you hear and you look at the number and you're like, don't know it, not answering it. So those type of things there. That is under the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, just so you know there. So that was one there where they're restricting it. States also have additional state regulations on these marketing issues. Okay? The exceptions to the act are, again, where you, the consumer, is voluntarily giving your number to a company or a charitable organization that's involved and you're asking them to call you. That's going to be different versus them just telemarketing kind of calling you there, too. The other thing is, don't forget we got things such as do not call list. You know? Now, I know the downer on that, though, is you have to kind of re-register every, what? I think it was, 5 years? There, so you kind of get into that thing, which means after 5 years you might notice that your phone starts getting called again because you need to what? Re-register on that do not call registry list. But they're trying to help, they're trying to do that. I do know, if I'm not mistaken, I thought FCC was trying to take some little things with the communications and starting to do the robocalls, trying to knock those out where they're starting. I think they want to put it on the phone company, or some phone companies I think are trying to help, but I think they want to put some law into place that you need to eliminate it so you know you're pushing that number out before it ever really gets to us. But they're trying to work on that right now because those robocalls are coming live constantly and constantly. So there will be changes there. When we have a consumer contract, what does it need to contain? What do we need to do? Well, it's going to have certain things included in it, and we're going to have to itemize, okay? So you have to have certain items listed. You're going to want to tell the payments under what your contract's for. So if I'm buying a TV, right, and I go to the store and I say, okay, I'm buying a TV and I'm going to get this great new HD TV and it's going to be $20 per month, right? My question is, first off, how many months is this? You know, how long am I paying on it? What's my interest on this? You know, am I paying 0% interest where it's kind of free and I'm okay to pay it all there? Or am I going to be paying 20% interest each month? And what if this is for 10 years? Your eyes are like,
TV.
Right, but do you get where we're going? So you need to let the parties know this. You have to let them know then, you know, what is the principal? What is the interest? What is the insurance, maybe if you need it indicated? You know, how long is this for? Let's make the consumer knowledgeable on what they are purchasing. I know in B-Law 1, I use my situation with Frankie. Those who've had me might recall when I did Frankie going to the Crellinless Heartless store, and Sam Shyster is the manager at the Crellinless Heartless store, and what they do is they're in a poor neighborhood and they have on the dishwasher, new dishwasher, only $19. And what does Frankie do? Frankie, by the way, is a person who only has a education level of a 4th grader. I never say he's a minor or anything. I'm just saying his education level is that of a 4th grader because he's a dropout from school and all this. But he is an adult. But because it's in a poor neighborhood, he goes in there and he asks Sam and he goes, really? Is the dishwasher only $19? And Sam's like, what? Oh yeah, look at this contract. Here's the contract. Look, it's a 10-page contract, but nowhere does he point out to him. He just says, look, it says $19 only. He never points out the small print on like page 10 that says it's $19 a month for 10 years, and it was something at like 30% interest rate. He never pointed that out to him, even though the guy, and then the question is, can he get out of that contract? Well, we're talking about consumer law. Guess what? Consumer contracts are the most. They're notorious because we say, yes, he can, because that was an unconscionable contract. That was the example of the most common examples for unconscionable contracts is your consumer contracts. When you're doing that small print, all that there. The consumer contract has to be typed in a certain size and a copy must be furnished to the buyer. If you have a contract and it's printed on both sides, so let's say here, okay, now I'm buying this TV and I have page 1, 2, 3, 4, and the printing goes on page 1 like the back. I guess it would be 1, 3, 5, 7, right? Because page 2 would be the back side. 4. If it's printed on both sides, you have to make them aware of that. They do want you to put notice, see other side for important information. You know, things like that. And you also have to have the pages signed at the end of the second side. So if we have like that second, you're going to want them to know, like, hey, turn it over, there's a back side. There's a page 2. 3, 4, 5, 7, you're going to kind of know because it can. But again, we want to make them aware. Hey, there's a page 2 to this. And let's sign you at the bottom of page 2 versus where? At the bottom of page 1, because then it shows that you've also read all of what? Page 2, if we just have a page 2 contract. All contracts should be signed really at the last page. If you have multiple contracts, sometimes, and it's ideally where they might have you sign one. Not in full, but you might initial each page until you get to the end. That way you know, oh, okay, you're initialing page 1, 2, 3, that you know. Sometimes you might do that. So I'm not saying you do that all the time in the contracts, but you might get that. Any questions so far? There are certain clauses that are harsh or prohibited under consumer protection laws, particularly if you have a great potential for a creditor's exploitation of abuse. So, for example, we have the Federal Warranty Disclosure Act of 1974. It provides disclosure standards for consumer goods, warranties, things like that, to help consumers understand them. Now, when we are getting into our parties in our credit transactions, sorry, I'm just kind of here. I'm kind of up to 629 in a little bit there. When we get into this, what'll happen here when you get to payments made in installments, if you have a default on an installment, what they would sometimes do is they would maybe have, the creditor would have an acceleration clause for the due date. So what it might be is, okay, you're taking out a loan, right? The consumer, you're gonna borrow this, you're gonna buy it on this. However, if you don't pay, they might have a clause in there that says we can accelerate your payments then and everything is due what? Now. Because you failed to miss a payment this month, we have a clause in there that accelerates it. When we talk about this, because the acceleration of the debt could cause the debtor greater hardship, some statutes actually say you cannot do this. Because what if that debt that they're doing, that they purchased, is $10,000 and they're only paying, say, $200 a month for X amount of years? All of a sudden, if they miss month 3, could that really put you in major debt if they accelerate it? Because now instead of owing just 2, they're telling you you owe the balance, which is maybe $8,000 or $9,600 because you've only maybe made the first couple payments. Well, you might not have that money, and that's going to put you what, in greater debt. So what, the consumer laws, it says you can't do this in some states. They'll put it where you cannot accelerate because we don't want to put the consumer in greater debt there that they've had. Also, some states prohibit open-end mortgages. These are mortgages given to secure additional loans to be made in the future as well as to secure the original loan. So some states will say you can't do this either. So this really goes by, we have 50 states, 50 state laws. You kind of have to look at, you know, if I go to other states, I'm going to have to know what their state law is if I'm dealing with consumer. What are my rights in there? So they can vary slightly because they're 50 states, 50 state laws. You can have some variations from state to state. Consumer debt has increased dramatically, resulting in reform because of things like this. Now, part of the reform, what it did is it focused on that subprime lending market, okay, by simplifying contract disclosures for subprime loans. We also had predatory lending. And what is predatory lending? It was a type of loan where lenders took advantage of the less sophisticated consumers. And what we were doing here is the terms for transactions cannot be unconscionable. They cannot be hidden in the back of the contract. They can't be hidden in small print. Again, if you're going to do this and have a 10-page contract and you're going to hide all these terms in here, it's probably going to be deemed unconscionable because you're not bringing it to my attention. You're not informing me on here. And like I said, consumer contracts, probably when you do unconscionable contracts out of contracts, consumer contracts are going to be the majority of those that are deemed unconscionable. If we had to pick an area of what contracts are probably more, to give you an example of unconscionable, it's going to be those. Any questions so far? I want to see where I'm at here. I have a little bit there. I just want to see where I'm at in the book. Credit cards. I wanted to see if there's a good spot, like a bigger area to end, and I might just let you guys go and then finish. Let me do credit transactions really fast involving consumers. They're regulated extensively from the advertising credit terms to the transaction itself to the collection of the debt. So we are going to regulate all this. All credit terms have to be described accurately. If you have any installment plans and you're going to pay 4 months or more, so you have 4 payments or more, under the Truth in Lending Act, you're going to have to detail out for them. What am I doing? When am I paying? What it is done? So what you're going to have to do is what's the total cash price? You know, what is each installment going to be? How much is the interest? What's the term? Do you get where we're going? Truth in Lending Act. A lot of times you'll see that when you're like doing your mortgages on the houses and things like that, because if you're doing these expensive, you're making more than 4 payments. You're taking a house out loan for like what? 16 or 15 years, 30 years stuff. So they're going to tell you, here's what the compounded interest is over there. Here's what your monthly payment is. You know, just so you know what the long run is. We want to be fair. We want to make it so you know what's going on. You know, they'll let you know the amount of your down payment that's due. How many payments overall are you going to have to give? You know, what is the amount of each payment? And like I said, the annual right there. What I'm going to do, because it's 1:45, and instead of keeping you guys longer, because I'm not going to finish it, I know this. We'll continue. I'll finish it next class. I'm going to start with credit cards. You know, so I'll kind of start with there, the credit cards, the unsolicited there. So kind of like 32-2F. We'll pick up there and take it to the end. And then just keep reading the next chapter and we'll pick it up.
Good luck with today's lesson.